Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of 8 Ounces of Inspiration. Today I have with me someone very, very special, somebody who has truly enabled my growth, has been a very strong support system to me, and Lavanya is truly very precious to me. She is a true entrepreneur, a go-getter, committed with a will-do-it attitude. She's the founder of Dance Embassy and Tinted Wateva. Lavanya is a mom of two beautiful kids. She's my first groomed from ground up instructor in Singapore and has really carries my teaching DNA. She supported me. She's helped me to expand my dance business and classes throughout the island. And especially at a time when I took it easy and I wanted to take some time off being a mom and taking care of two young children. So while I worked on the management side, she helped me to execute my vision beautifully and flawlessly. I saw her commitment to work, to always show up and wanting to constantly learn and improve. We've done some amazing performances together at the dance festivals. We've done workshops in Bangladesh, in Paris. We've traveled around the world. And we've always been there for each other. So I present to you Lavania Rosie Morgan. Hi, she
Hey,
joined us from Singapore. So glad to have you.
I'm going to play this every morning. It's going to be my
Yes.
wake up. This evening.
When I was writing, usually like I'll do a lot of research when I'm bringing in somebody in the podcast. I want to know about that. But yours, I didn't even look at one thing because I just knew everything so much inside of me, who you are. So it's all from my heart. Probably go on your birthday card next year. So my first question to you, how hard or easy has it been managing work and motherhood?
Oh, so difficult. So when I had Elias, my firstborn, I took quite some time. I took 4 months off work and I was just trying to figure out, navigate this new motherhood thingy. And when I went back to work, it was with ease. And then COVID happened. And then I got my second kid. They say you don't know how difficult it is until you get your second kid. And I would say that I'm still navigating around business and life and motherhood with the second kid. So answer shortly, it is difficult.
Yeah. But I think you're doing it really well. You're juggling all the balls. Sometimes, yes, it's hard and you have to throw the balls really high up so you have time to catch them and move them around, but you're doing it. And I think this time will pass and you'll realize that, how did it go? I mean, I'm telling you through experience. Now I look back, my son is 18, ready to go to college. And I just sometimes think, wow, and this is why entrepreneurship is beautiful, right? We can scale up, we can scale down, make times flexible to fit into our schedule, which you couldn't have done with a regular job that you had. And especially if you were
Yeah.
flying for Singapore Airlines, you wouldn't be able to. Yeah,
With a great support system, because at least we can afford a helper, to
yeah,
help with home front while you are working.
true. Yeah. So, what inspired you to start Tinted Whatever?
So, with all the things that I've been doing, a lot of women were reaching out to me on my Instagram asking me, how do I do all the things that I do? So, I thought I will open up a blog and share about my experience being a mother and running a business and having a social life. And then I told myself, okay, I'll open this blog and I'll open Instagram as well. Then I realized that I couldn't juggle a lot with the blog and Instagram at the same time. So, I took on a social media manager. Her name is Shifa, and when she was creating content for the Instagram, she said, Love, I really love the content that we are putting up. And I also want to do something for women as well. Can I come on board as your partner? So I'm like, oh, okay. I don't have to pay you anymore as a social media manager. We'll do partnership. So I'm really glad I found her. And from sharing what I do on a personal front and on a professional front, we have grown a community of women where they learn not just navigating motherhood, but to also pursue their passion as a business, as a side hustle, and growing together.
Fantastic. It's beautiful. You won the Mrs. Singapore while you were pregnant, right? You shattered,
No,
right?
before pregnant.
Before you were pregnant or while? Oh, I think there was a phase when you got pregnant while, because I see pictures of you wearing the crown and
No, it's before I was pregnant. I
oh,
became pregnant. Yeah.
okay, you became pregnant after that. So during this entire Mrs. Singapore thing, right? I saw a lot of your posts, and what came out to me when I was reading your post was that you were breaking a lot of myths, right? Of the way a beauty queen should be dressed, of the way she should look, right? And how she should be. So share some of your experiences from that time. Like, how did people respond to that? What is she trying to do? Why isn't she fitting into that conventional box?
Yeah. So I must give all credits to my director of the pageant, Beverly, because when I entered the pageant, I had this thing in my head where first of all, I was the only Indian in the pageant, and a lot of them were not speaking English. They were
Okay.
speaking in their majority language, which
Yeah.
is Mandarin. And I really struggled to fit in with the other ladies. And then I told myself, you know what? I'm not going to, because I grew up in that system, right, of always trying to fit in with the majority.
Yeah.
And I told, you know what? I am so tired of fitting in. I'm going to just be myself and let's see what comes out of it. So during the gown, during one of the interview sessions, we were told to wear gown. And then I told my director, I said, you know, I really don't feel it. Like I don't want to go all out like wearing a gown and all that. It's not me. Then she said, then be different. Why don't you wear your athletic wear? And I'm like, oh, you mean I can? Okay. So I took on my wear and I wore it. I kind of jazzed it up a bit. And when I entered the room, and all the girls were like, "What is this? You're not wearing a gown. Why are you wearing your athletic wear? You're being such a..." They did call me a bee. I don't want to say it. Yeah. So I said, you know, Beverly said I could do it, so I'm going for it, and I won that round.
Wow.
Not only that round, I won the pageant as well.
Yes, of course, you won the pageant as well.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So much to the surprise of everybody, and I got featured on the national newspaper for not just winning the pageant, but for standing out as a different candidate
Yeah,
doing something
absolutely.
different.
I was just
And
going to say
great.
that, you were different in a sea of everyone being similar. You stood out because you dared to be different. And I think that's what makes our lives unique when we are entrepreneurs or when we want to really make a mark in this world. I tell all the women, who come to me for coaching that it's not about becoming like a $500 million company of 400. It's about making your mark by being different and having clarity that this is what I have to contribute to the world. And that's what I want to bring, irrespective of what anybody says I should do, because that's what will bring me money, you know. And sometimes the road less travels or the harder road brings more growth and success. So you were born and brought up in Singapore, right? You've been born and brought up, you've lived in Singapore all your life. And that city, I lived there for 4 years, right? So I saw, like, I love Singapore. If somebody asked me, what's your favorite place to live? But when I was there and I spoke to a lot of people who had lived in Singapore forever. They would always say, I want to migrate to the US. I want to move out of Singapore. And I would think, why would somebody ever leave Singapore? And they said, it's boring. Everything is just so structured, so predictable here that when you've been in that system since the day you were born, there's nothing that kind of pushes you to think outside the box or those boundaries. So I wanted to, I was always curious to ask this question, but you've been there. Did you also feel this, that sometimes it brings too much of predictability and too much of structuredness brings boredom or inhibits creativity? And you've seen the city evolve. Now there's so many expats now. I'm sure after COVID, because I wasn't there during the COVID time, again, it must have seen another different phase, right? And Singapore, I'm sure, looks very different from when I left it. What's so different now, and what do you miss from its yesteryears?
Okay. So definitely, I would say that a lot has changed. The narrative has changed now. And when I look back at that time when you were in Singapore, right? If not for you, I would still be living this life of um seeking money all the time and doing things to seek that one thing that revolves around us, right? But when you came into my life, you showed me there's a whole world of opportunities and things to do to break out of that mold of either you become a doctor, engineer, or a failure in your life, you know. So I would say that the people that you surround yourself with, no matter how the country is is really important to your growth as a person and what you do. So when I was growing up, that's how my parents brought me up, right? So this is your career path. They choose everything I need to do in my life. Then when I wanted to break out of it, they're like, oh no, you're not going to survive. This is not going to be viable. You know, what is this business nonsense thingy? And now when they see what I do and how I thrive from it, it really voices down to the people that you surround with. So and with COVID, the community that I've built also showed me how I was able to survive through COVID, because when I was still putting up content out there, even though I was not running physical classes, one of my old students, she reached out to me and she was working for Audible at that time. She said, I really love the content that you put out there. Let's collaborate and release a podcast together. So a lot of opportunities surround us. I don't think geographically it will play a big part in your life when you really surround yourself with the right people. And I think I was blessed with that from the start, beginning with you.
Wonderful. So has Singapore changed a lot, like in the last couple of years? Like, what do you think is very different about the city, good and bad?
Oh my goodness. So bad is the rental rates are really skyrocket high. It's becoming so expensive. It's crazy. So I would say that's one bad thing. Inflation is really high.
Okay.
And but the good thing is it's a safe country.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even think twice about letting my kids play downstairs at the playground. You know, it's or coming back after midnight. Like, you know how much of a social butterfly I am.
Yeah.
After I don't even have to think about my safety. So that is one good thing about Singapore. Touch it, touch it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. I think that's, and as we, I was in Singapore when I was a mom. So I think that contributed very greatly to me calling it like one of my favorite countries to live in. That safety, because you're mind free. You don't even think of certain things that you are constantly worrying about in another country, whether it's the Western world or in India. Now, as a working parent, right, we juggle several balls. And as a working mom, sometimes it's hard to keep them all aligned and not let it fall. Do you go through fears of falling or not being able to keep them all rolling?
Yeah, I mean, I don't really fear. I wouldn't say fear of falling, because I have fallen a lot of times. So that fear has somehow translated to resilience. I would say more of me focusing on my strength of on getting up again. So it's about the mindset shift, right? If we always think about what's the fear that we're going to face, and then when we eventually face that struggle, we are like, okay, this is the end of the road. But if we think about how we're going to rise above the failure and we equip ourselves with that strength, no matter what life throws at you, you are able to juggle with it. So I've had recent failure, I wouldn't lie. Like it really, I thought I would never go down that path, the dark path again. But when I did, I was eventually able to get out of the other side of the tunnel because of the resilience that I had from past experiences.
It's so beautiful how you've just put it. Like you've fallen so many times that falling has now converted into resilience. It's so beautiful. I think I'm going to, capture that and keep that, because it's so true now that you say it, that if you change and you shift your attitude, there are going to be challenges that will come every single day. things are not going to be all hunky-dory, and there'll always be, especially in business, right? It's not that we always have good days, and you can never, at least this is one part I say, an entrepreneur's life can never be boring, because we can never just sit back and say, oh, I've achieved and I've arrived, because next day you will have a new competitor who, if you're not on your toes and you're not at the edge of innovation, pivoting, being there, showing up, they're going to take the lunch and go. Because right now it is so easy to enter any market without really having the financial muscle, because you have the power of internet, the technology, which allows you to penetrate just by having a skill set. So I think when you have this attitude that I'm resilient and no matter what, I'm going to find a way to get through this, I think that greatly shifts the way we even get creatively, unstoppable. So what's your biggest fear?
Lizards, cockroaches, rats.
Reptiles. I think like for most of us, yeah. For me, it's so my biggest fear, like sometimes I still wake up. So I've never been a good driver, right? I failed my US license 5 times, the driving license to get my license. And I still have these fears that my car is standing and I'm trying to go uphill, but it's just like rolling backwards. And I'm like going down the slope. And I'm like, oh my God, even after driving for 20 years, I still have this fear that I'm not going to, So, what has kept you sane and grounded during challenging times or on rough days?
Prayer, and the church group that I'm in, the community of strong-willed, prayerful people really has kept me going and kept me grounded. Because, like you said, right, there are always like new competition and new challenges coming up every day.
Yeah,
And yesterday, I still see it in my feed, right? Like, oh, someone is starting the same business as me and doing up a better website than me, and then that kinds of like pushes me to like, okay, let's keep in our lane at the same
yeah,
time, it's grow and learn from what the other person has done. So
yeah.
it's really, for me, is just that grounding belief, and spiritual life has really grounded me a lot, and that has helped me through so many situations in life.
Yeah. And I see that, I see a lot of your FB posts. I think you have a very strong spiritual side of you. There's a very strong party side of you. And there's a very strong, wise and grounded, ambitious side of you, for work. And that's beautiful because that makes you so whole. You have
Mm.
something for everyone. Anybody who wants to have a conversation with you, you will have something to talk about. How has motherhood changed you? I've always known the Lavanya who was like completely like the party girl and let's do this, let's do that, How has it changed you?
Well, up till recently, I remember reaching out to you and asking you, how do you juggle it all, being a mother, doing a business? And I really took away this one thing from you when you said that you had to step back and step up as a mother. So I've really learned how to use that as my mantra and tell myself that if I have to step back on my duties and responsibilities and step up as a role as a mother, I will do it, because when I was growing up, my parents were too busy working to even invest time in me, right? So I know that I wasn't going to do the same thing with my kids. I don't want them to just see this mother of theirs just working, 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 and not spending time with them. So I've learned how to step up as a mother and be present with them when I'm with them. And I've also learned how to build a team to do all the roles that I'm supposed to do in the company, and I've empowered them with that roles and responsibilities to do it instead. So delegation also has played a huge part in my life.
Yeah, no, that's wonderful. As entrepreneurs and as people, right? Sometimes we come across people because we are exchanging hands with so many people. We are touching so many connections. There are some amazing people who come into our life who enable, and they give us energy. But we also come across people who take away energy, who sometimes are very close. And, you've had some of those, right? And that's why I wanted to bring this so that if somebody's gone through this in their life, they know what it's like, and it happens to others, where you've put your trust in somebody, you've put your faith, and and they've just one day turned around and ghosted you or done things that are absolutely out of ethics or out of something that you could even think of in your wildest imagination, broken the trust. How do you reel from something like that? Whether it's a friend,
Um,
a business
yeah,
partner.
you know it all, Nidhi. You know it all. You know, especially when it comes to ethics, like I was telling you, why are we not having the same relationship like both of us have had with the people around now? Because I feel like just people nowadays are just has this individualistic mindset. It's all about them, but they don't realize that when they collaborate and connect, great things happen, right? And that's the narrative that I hope to change with Tinted Wateva, because I want to push that message out that there is no such thing as competition. And even when you collaborate and connect, that doesn't mean that the other person is going to take away three-quarter of the pie from you. If you are good in what you do, you are good. People will come
Yeah,
looking for you. So,
yeah.
I've had experiences where I've had instructors take coaching clients from me, having learned all the ropes that I've taught
Mhm.
them. It's my gift, right? I feel like I have a gift to share my knowledge and share it, I share it. But how you misuse it
Yeah.
only reflects you what kind of a person you are. So when that person started coaching clients from me, my clients came to tell me, listen, this instructor of yours is doing such and such. And I'm really grateful that my clients told me that. If not, I wouldn't have been
Yeah.
aware. And the kind of connection that I've had with my clients where they can tell, right? Like if someone is stealing business from you. So I still make mistakes about I'm a high empathetic person. So I
Mm.
give people a lot of benefit of the doubt. And some people call me naive, but I just like to see the good in people. But if they don't see the good in themselves, and if they want to backstab me in such ways, then there is, I know Hindus, you all call it karma. Christians, we leave it up to God to handle it. So
Yeah.
stay in your lane.
Yeah. No, you're right. I think it's a very short-sighted approach in life when people do these things, because they don't realize that in the bigger picture, that's the kind of people now they'll start attracting. That comes from a lot of, not from a place of well-being and like joy or purity, pure intention, but somebody's going to do the same to them, at some point of time. And I've also felt that when people sometimes think that they've got your model and they're going to take it and now they're going to start on their own, it's fine. You want to start it, but do you have that unique talent to grow it? Because there's only so much you can do and get with my copy, right? Copying me. After that, what? Now you're not in my radar. So what are you going to copy? You don't have anything to copy. So then do you have the power, the creativity, and the mindset to build and create something unique for yourself? And a lot of times people then kind of just, dissipate because they don't have that creativity. And we still continue to survive and move on, right? And build.
So
Yeah.
so true.
So now coming to a very personal side so that people get to know Lavanya, a different side of Lavanya. I'm going to ask you a couple of questions. Whatever comes to your mind first, you answer. What's your favorite color?
Pink.
What's your favorite city to visit?
Israel.
Wow. What's your, so I have to go there. I should put it in my bucket list. What's your favorite food?
Nasi Padang.
Nice. What's your favorite word that you find yourself using a lot when you speak?
Does
Besides
Singlish count?
love. Besides love.
You know me so well. Um, I just roll my eyes actually most of the
Okay,
time.
it's more like a body language work, a body
Yeah.
work. But when I moved to Singapore and everyone would speak initially, and they would say, no, la, this, la. I used to think like, what kind of an English is this? Why do they end? Then I thought maybe it's like a English and French mix, so they try to end everything in a la, till it took me a long time. I said, this is just the Singaporean way of speaking English. They just end everything with a la. you know okay, what is your favorite quotation that you kind of pin on your board, or you find yourself repeating a lot in your speaker sessions?
Ooh, actually I have a few, but I would say my favorite would be uh wow, okay. My favorite will be, can it be my own quote? It doesn't
Of
have to be
course it
someone.
can be. Yeah, absolutely.
So my own quote is the sun always rises.
Yeah, the sun always rises. So beautifully said. Yeah. If there is one quality or ability that you feel you want to inculcate in yourself that will take you to the next level, right? Or that you really desire to have, but you feel currently you don't have it in yourself, what is that?
Ooh, I'm being vulnerable here. I did share my best friend. I tend to give my best self to people that I love, expecting them to reflect the same quality. But I have to really manage my own expectations from people because humans disappoint, and I always have to remind myself of that.
Yes, or you can look at it differently, that you were given the gift of giving more than others were.
Say again, the last part?
You were given the gift to be able to give and share more than others were given, right?
Yeah.
They aren't able to match up to your level because you have the power to give a lot more, because you have a lot to give.
Oh yeah, I love
And
that.
sometimes people need to receive. That's why they've come into your life, because they need that receiving from you to make themselves full, right?
So not going to therapy anymore. I just need to talk to you.
Yeah, anytime. Well, on that note, Lavanya, we come to the end of this podcast, but I just want to tell you that I will always be grateful to you for being there to help me not stop because I had entered into a new phase of my life, but to help me give me new wings to expand, because you actually executed my vision those 4 years that I was there, and you made it happen. And you were just so energetic, and you were just dedicated and committed. And there was not a single day that I felt that, oh my God, like she didn't show up, or why do I have an instructor who's not committed, any of those things. It was just like given to me in my life, that, oh yeah,
And I always tell people, I'll do anything for Nidhi, even if people who don't know where Tuas is. It's like the other end of Singapore, almost reaching Malaysia. Even if she's going to pay me $50 for a class to go all the way to Tuas to do it, I will do the damn class.
but Nidhi also took you to Paris and Bangladesh.
For
So
that,
you made up.
I had to
Yeah,
get off out to go to Paris. I'll do.
well, Lavanya, I'm sure we have lots still in store, that, and I'm really, really, I very strongly feel it. It's my intent that we are going to collaborate and work together, because I feel our purposes are so aligned. I work here in the space of empowering women, helping them start their business and grow their business and to really make their visions a reality. You are in the same space where you want to empower women, so I'm sure there will be a point where we will find projects to collaborate on, or to do this in a collective way to create a larger impact. But thank you so much for being with us today. Thank you for sharing so authentically and for being yourself.
Anytime for you.
Thank you, and all the best.